Welcome to Bougie Eats episode 6. Today we're going to be making Nutella cookies. Dare I suggest these cookies may indeed be the most delicious cookie you will ever try. Deep earthy notes of cacao and dark chocolate delight the taste buds, and the initial crunch of the outside gives way to an incredible soft and souffle-like texture within. If that wasn't enough, the Nutella dollop and rock salt atop bring the flavor symphony to even greater heights. You will need 125 grams of dark cooking chocolate, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 125 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature, 80 grams of castor sugar, 30 grams of Dutch processed cacao powder sifted, 160 grams of plain flour sifted. Let's just pretend I'm not really lazy and definitely did actually sift it. 1 whole egg. Nutella for dolloping atop the cookies, obviously, and sea salt flakes to finish off atop as well. So to begin, we combine the sugar and room temperature butter together in a mixing bowl and mix that together until it forms a kind of cohesive mass. I would most definitely recommend not being a knobhead like me and allowing your butter actually to cool down to room temperature. I didn't. I was kind of eager to get started and pretty much fucked the whole thing up and had to wait for the butter to come down to room temperature. So definitely don't do what I did. So step 1, mix it all together. Even this isn't quite perfect, but you can see there's sort of a cohesive quality to that. It's not just little clumps that aren't mixed together. At this point, you want to add the 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract into the mix. And add in 1 whole egg as well at this point. It's going to help bind everything together later on. We need to melt our cooking chocolate so that we can combine it in with the rest of the mixture. With this small quantity of chocolate, what you can do is just get a mug, fill the mug with boiling water, and then put the chocolate atop that and cover it with another plate as I've done here. Leave that for 5-6 minutes and you'll come back and it will all be melted through. Mix that all together and then add the flour and cacao powder and mix that through as well until you get one solid cohesive mass. Now we get to the slightly tricky part, so transfer all of the dough from the bowl to a piece of baking paper, and what we want to do is essentially shape this into a log. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but sort of hands-on. You have to sort of shape it on a nice log of cookie dough. You can then put in the fridge for 15 or so minutes to firm up before we'll then roll it into individual cookies and bake it. We also want to preheat the oven to 160 degrees Celsius. Now, once the log has rested in the fridge for about 15 minutes, we pull it out, we unravel it from the baking paper, and at this point we just need to break off little bits of it one at a time, roll in the palms. It's good to do this with slightly wet hands so that the mixture doesn't stick to your hands too much. Roll it into a ball and then place the ball on the baking sheet with a little bit of a gap between them, and then we'll proceed to bake it. Then what we're going to do is actually put our thumbprint in each cookie, smoosh it down and flatten it out a bit. What that's going to do is once it's baked, there'll be a little ridge in there that we can spoon our Nutella into. So we're creating that ridge ahead of baking. Bake for 13 to 15 minutes or until dried and slightly cracked. While the cookies are still hot, you can use your thumb to press them further if the indentation has been lost in the baking process. Once the cookies have cooled a little bit, spoon a little Nutella onto the center of each cookie and then sprinkle with sea salt. You can store the leftovers in an airtight container at room temperature for up to a week. Everyone's going to want some more. Colleagues at work are going to bug you for the recipe and indeed for more cookies if you have them. Ooh, Nutella cookies. Can I have another one? Yeah, of course you can. Get in there. Got a whole tray of these bad boys. It's like biting into a chocolatey cloud that also is kind of moist from the Nutella and then has that sort of umami of the sea salt right at the end. You know, I could not recommend this enough. I'll whack the recipe and instructions in the description below, guys. Hope you get to give this recipe a go. Catch you in the next episode.